Hey guys, it's Shadow, and I'm here to present to you guys the new free week champion rotation for the preseason week 3 of 2004 or preseason 2014 week 3 free week champion rotation. that was a mouthful for me, and I can't talk tonight apparently. So yeah, as usual, guys, gonna go down the list. Gonna tell you guys the combos you can expect from the champions. Gonna tell you the standard items you can expect to see. And, generally the role that they play, and how many bot games you should play, or how many bot games I feel you should play, so that you can understand how the champion really works. So, just going to go ahead and name them off, then we'll go into more detail, in a minute, or go into detail one by one with them. So we've got Cho'gath, Heimerdinger, Master Yi, Shaco, Twisted Fate, Irelia, Karma, Graves, Lulu, and Quinn and Valor. So just going to start off with Cho'gath and again work our way down. So with Cho'gath, his abilities are Carnivore, that's his passive. Whenever Cho'gath kills a unit, he recovers health and mana. The value restored increases with Cho'gath's level. Meaning the higher level you are, the more mana and health you get back from Carnivore because you just have more base health and base mana. Plain and simple. Then you have Rupture. Ruptures the ground at the target location, popping enemy units into the air, dealing damage, and slowing them. Then we have Feral Scream. Cho'gath unleashes a terrible scream at enemies in a cone, dealing magic damage and silencing enemies for a few seconds. That's his W. His E, which is, oddly enough, a passive, Vorpal Spikes. Cho'gath's attacks passively release deadly spikes, dealing damage to all enemies or all enemy units in front of him. Then last but not least, his signature ability, his ultimate, Feast, devours an enemy unit, dealing a high amount of true damage. If the target is killed, Cho'gath grows, gaining maximum health to a maximum of 6 stacks. Cho'gath loses half of these stacks upon death. So, there you go. Cho'gath does scale with AP. You will primarily see him build AP and tanky, so Sunfire Cape, Warmogs, Randuins, Rod of Ages, all of those items are going to be standard on Cho'gath. You might also see Crystal Scepter in there. Again, all of his abilities they scale with AP, so don't expect to see any sort of AD on him, unless it's just a Trollgath. Plain and simple. Now, the Rupture, let's just go down the line. Rupture, as it says, knocks enemy units into the air that are hit by Rupture. Much like, any other thing that says knocks them into the air if they're hit by it. The slow aspect happens after they've come back from being in the air. Plain and simple. The Feral Scream, the silence maximum duration, I believe is like 1.25 seconds. Again, scales with AP. Vorpal Spikes. This is key right here, guys. As I said, it scales with AP. The damage it does rather scales with AP. It does flat damage and then, additional damage with AP. But, however, the bigger Cho'gath grows due to Feast, because, Feast, Cho'gath grows and gaining maximum health. So, every time Cho'gath grows with Feast, his Vorpal Spikes travel further. But plain and simple. The taller bigger he is, the further they travel. They'll still have the same number of same units, just they can go further and hit more. Plain and simple. And then Feast, it has 2 different components. One, it does high true damage to minions and monsters, and then the second does still a good chunk of true damage to champions. We'll actually go ahead and read that right down here. So, if it's a champion, it does 300, 475, 600, plus 70% of your total AP as true damage to champions. And then if it's a, minion or monster, it does 1,000 true damage, and it also gains 75 or 70% of your total AP. Now, you get 90, 120, 150 maximum health per stack, and it's retroactive, meaning, say you have 4 stacks and 90, with rank 1 feast, the second you go to rank 2, they all automatically go to 120 health, so you get that extra 30 health. It's just you don't have to re-get all, die again, get all new stacks. That's something you used to have to do. Now they did away with that because that was just too much farming. All of his abilities, as I said, do scale with AP, and they are all affected by cooldown reduction except for Vorpal Spikes. Vorpal Spikes is like, who am I thinking of here? Warwick. It's like his blood scent. You can turn it on and off whenever you so choose. Obviously once you've learned it. But yeah, as I said, spikes grow wider as Cho'gath levels. So yeah. Next we have Heimerdinger, who, damn good. Yeah. Let's just read his ability, shall we? Tech Metrogrel Repair Bots. Probably completely butchered that name, but I don't care. Heimerdinger gives nearby H28G turrets and champions increased health regeneration. Not a bad passive. The only champion in the game that can actually restore health to turrets. Then you have your H28G evolution turrets. Heimerdinger lays down a machine gun turret equipped with a secondary pass-through beam. Turrets deal half damage to towers. That's your Q. Your W, which is your Hextech micro rockets. Heimerdinger fires long-range rockets that converge on his cursor, meaning it's just like Lulu's Q. The closer you have your cursor to you, the wider the spread is going to be. The further away it is, the more precise it's going to be. Then you have your E, which is your CH2 Electrostorm Grenade. Heimerdinger lobs a grenade at a location, dealing damage to enemy units as well as stunning anyone directly hit and slowing surrounding units. And then your ultimate upgrade, we'll talk about that in a minute. All of Heimerdinger's abilities except for his ultimate, because again we'll talk about that in a minute, all of his abilities, his Q, W, and E, all scale with AP. Every aspect of them scales with AP except for the slow and stun. Everything else does scale. So his evolution turrets, you can have a maximum of 3 turrets placed, and depending on the turret, depending on the turret level, meaning if you have just like level 2 of your evolution turrets, you can only hold a maximum of 1 turret. But once you have level 5 of your evolution turret, you can hold all, maximum of 3 turrets on you at once to lay down in a quick succession. Much like Zyra's plants. Easiest way I can explain that. Now, the health of the cannons is based upon your level, but the attack damage that they do, like the overall damage between the cannon and the beam, that is based upon the cannon level, as well as a percentage of your AP, as you can see here. 13% of your total AP for your cannon, or for the cannon attack, and for the beam attack from the turret, it's half of your AP in a line. The turrets attack every 1 second, I believe, and the beam fires off every 12 seconds. Again, you can have a maximum of 3 turrets placed, though, so don't be fooled by that. Your micro rockets, again, the damage they do, it's, the closer you have your cursor to you, the further the spread. Right there, targeting the rockets closer to Heimerdinger increase their spread. Plain and simple. They do have a maximum range, and they have a maximum damage cap. But that cap is exacerbated by your AP. So the more AP you have, the more the damage your rockets will do, even to a cap. Your Electrostorm Grenade, as I said, it scales with your AP. Upgrade. Here's where it gets, a little weird. So if you upgrade your Q, that turns the evolution turret to an H28Q Apex turret. Places a turret that deals a set amount of damage based upon the level of upgrade, plus 33% of your total AP as magic damage, and its cannon does a set amount of damage, again based upon level of upgrade, plus 80% of your AP. And its beam goes off every 8 seconds. It has splash damage, it's immune to disables, It attacks slow targets for 25%, and it is not counted towards your turret limit. So you can have the 3 turret limit, and then upgrade, pop this turret, and have 4 total turrets for good duration. That's if you upgrade your Q. If you upgrade your W, which is your Hextech Micro Rockets, it goes to Hextech Rocket Swarm. Fires 4 waves of rockets that deal, again, set amounts of damage based upon the level of upgrade, and then increase by your AP, and they all do magic damage. Champions and monsters hit by multiple rockets take reduced damage up to a cap, and the cap just base is 865 damage plus 183% of your total AP. And then if you upgrade your CH2 Electro Storm Grenade, it turns into CH3X Lightning Grenade. Throws a bouncing grenade that discharges 3 times, dealing a set amount of damage plus 60% of your AP as magic damage. Both the stun and slow areas are larger, and the slow is improved to 80% from just 35% that we see here. Now, think of the Lightning Grenade as Ziggs's Bouncing Bomb, his Q. It's the exact same, except it deals damage with each bounce, and you can see clearly where it's going to bounce, much like how you can tell where Rumble's ult is going to be placed. It's plain and simple. However, you only get 1 upgrade per cooldown, meaning you can't, cast upgrade, place your turret, cast upgrade again, hit your rocket swarm, cast upgrade again, do a grenade. It's once per cooldown. You have to choose 1. However, you do have a good chunk of time to go ahead and pick and choose which one you want to cast for the given scenario. You have, I believe it's like 10 or 15 seconds to cast, and then it just goes, away. I believe, at least. I could be mistaken. They could just have it indefinitely, and then the cooldown starts resetting after you've used that charge. So you can't have more than just 1 charge at any given time. Plain and simple. Now, for both Cho'gath and for Heimerdinger, I recommend at least 2 games, if not 3, for both these champions. The only reason for Cho'gath is to get his combo down, which his combo, it's generally going to be Rupture into Feral Scream into Feast, or Feral Scream into Rupture into Feast. You'll never see Feast be casted first unless they just want to get that big burst out. They don't care if they have the the stack, unless they're already if they're at max stacks, it doesn't matter. But they still want to get that true damage out anyway, because hey, true damage is true damage. Only way to avoid that is, Spell Shield by Sivir or a Banshee's Veil blocking it. Again, for Cho'gath, you'll see, AP items. Ryla's Crystal Scepter doesn't go amiss on him. And you'll see tanky items such as a Red and Wind's Omen, Sunfire Cape. Again, AP items mixed in. Regardless, you'll always see that health. With Heimerdinger, it's going to be just straight up AP. It's going to be stuff like, again, Crystal Scepter, Rabadon's Death Cap. You'll see maybe an Archangel Staff, Rod of Ages. Rod of Ages is also standard for Cho'gath. So again, very, very similar builds. Just Heimerdinger, you don't necessarily go for health. Whereas Cho'gath, you kind of need to, because you're going to be a giant target. You grow immensely once you have like 4 or 5 stacks. And then once you have that 6th stack, you're bigger than Dragon. You're almost as big as Bear and Nashar. So, yeah, you're going to be a giant target as him. That's why you want health, you want armor, and you want magic resist as him. As Heimer, you're going to be standing in the back, just casting away. And for Heimerdinger, again, the bot games, that's to just understand how upgrade really works, how your turrets interact with other things. Your turrets can attack, towers, but they die just like 1 or 2, I believe it's actually 1 hit. But they do attack rather fast, so you can, if you drop your turret down right next to the tower and that's the only thing within its range, it will attack that tower and do big chunk of damage. So again, just be prepared for that. And again, the damage from your turrets is increased by the the level of the turrets themselves, as well as your AP. Next we have Master Yi, the Wuju Master, or Wuju Bladesman. Bleh. Again, can't talk tonight. So, his abilities. His passive is Double Strike. Every few strikes, Master Yi strikes twice. I believe that's every 5th strike, he attacks twice. Plain, again, standard. Well, his standard passive. Next we have Alpha Strike. Master Yi leaps across the battlefield with blinding speed, dealing physical damage to multiple units in his path. Alpha Strike can critically strike and deals bonus physical damage to minions and monsters. Basic attack to reduce Alpha Strike's cooldown. That's your Q. As your W is Meditate. Master Yi rejuvenates his body by focus of mind, restoring health and taking reduced damage for a short time. Your E, Wuju Style. Master Yi becomes skilled in the art of Wuju, passively increasing his attack damage. Activating Wuju Style grants bonus true damage on basic attacks, but the passive bonus is lost during the cooldown. Then your ultimate, which is Highlander. Master Yi moves with unparalleled agility, temporarily increasing his movement and attack speed, as well as making him immune to all slowing effects. While active, champion kills or assists extend Highlander's duration. Passive component passively reduces cooldown for his other abilities on kill or assist. So, again, just a quick rundown. He's an AD champion. You will not see AP unless it's just like a troll. I'm never going to die with Meditate still. Other than that, you're going to see just straight up AD all the time. Stuff like Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, Static Shiv, Phantom Dancer, those do not go amiss at all on him. Now, Alpha Strike, as I said, he leaps a couple times. It's up to 4 strikes, dealing a set amount of base damage plus 100% AD. I don't know if that's total or if that's extra. I always forget. But then the chance to critically, or the additional damage, it also scales based upon Alpha Strike's level. And the Alpha Strike critical damage is based upon, I believe, 10% of your total AD. So, yeah, it's pretty good. Next is your Meditate. Master Yi channels restoring 30, 50, 70, 90, 110, plus 30% AP health per second for 4 seconds. This healing is increased by 1% for every 1% of Master Yi's missing health. And while channeling, Master Yi takes reduced incoming damage by 50, 55, 60, 65, and 70%, and the damage is halved against, damage reduction is halved against turrets. So max level, it's 110 health plus 30% AP and 70% reduced damage, and by turret it's 35% reduced damage. And then the healing is increased for every 1% health, so meaning if you're at like 2% health, you're going to be healing, what is that, 98% more? Yeah, you won't need AP at all. Next is Wuju Style. The passive component grants 10% of your grants 10% total AD. So much like Living Shadow by Zed, same concept. You just get 10% extra AD. And then the active component deals bonus true damage up to 30 base plus 10% of your total AD for 5 seconds. After the 5 seconds, the passive is lost while Wuju Style is on cooldown. Then next we have Highlander. The passive, champion kills and assists reduce the remaining cooldown of Master Yi's basic attacks by 70%. And the active increases movement speed by 25, 35, 40, and attack speed by 30, 55, 80%, depending on the level of Highlander, and grants immunity to movement speed reduction for 4 seconds. You can still be feared, you can still be stunned, you just cannot be slowed. Whenever champion kills and assists, while active, champion kills and assists extend the duration of Highlander by 4 seconds. So if you've gotten, 4 kills, that's 4 kills or assists, that's 16 extra seconds. That's damn good to help you get across the battlefield or get away or chase somebody down. Now, I mentioned, Alpha Strike just a minute ago. Your auto attacks reduce the cooldown of Alpha Strike by 1 second, so it's only got like a 8-second cooldown anyway. It's like 4 auto attacks while you're like Highlandering, you're good. And the basic combo for Yi, it's going to be Alpha Strike into Highlander with Wuju style, or Highlander into Alpha Strike into Wuju style. You will never pop Wuju style early because you do not get the true damage bonus while you're Alpha Striking. You want to pop that as you're auto attacking to get the true damage bonus. Other than that, that is the standard combo. You never see anything else other than Alpha Strike into Highlander with Wuju, or Highlander into Alpha Strike into Wuju. Plain and simple. Only reason you'd pop Highlander beforehand is to get in quicker, because then once you have those kills or assists, that just increases the cooldown or increases the duration. And oh look, you might have had 3 seconds left. Now that's 7. Now that's 11. Now that's 15. You guys get the point. But yeah, I didn't go over the rotation or the combo rather for Heimer because there really isn't a set one. It's whatever happens to work at the time. That's why. Don't leave comments down below saying, "Oh, you didn't go over the one for Heimer," because there is none. That's like saying, "Oh, I want you to go to Burger King and get me something. I just don't tell you what." You can't. You just have to figure out what fits at that time. Moving on. Next we have Shaco, the Demon Jester. His passive, which is called Backstab. Shaco deals 20% bonus damage when striking a unit from behind. Think of that as a rogue in any RPG or MMORPG such as WoW, DDO, etc. You attack from behind because that's cool. Next is your Deceive, which is your Q. Shaco becomes invisible and teleports to a target location. His next attack is guaranteed to critically strike. That does have a timed duration. The basic attack part, that does have timed duration. Same thing with the invisibility. The backstep or the critical strike portion, that lasts, I believe, like 5 seconds, whereas the invisibility lasts a second. So you have a little leeway with the critical strike. What they also don't tell you here is you have, level 1 it costs like 90 mana, and then the higher levels you go in it, the less mana it costs. So it's one of those abilities you want to cast or get maxed early. Next you have Jack-in-the-Box, which is your W. Shaco creates an animated Jack-in-the-Box at a target location, which will wait invisible to fear nearby units and attack them when some come nearby. Next you have your E, which is Twin Shiv Poison. Shaco's Shiv passively poisons targets on hit, slowing them and applying a mischance to minions. He can throw his Shivs to deal damage and poison the target. Then you have Hallucinate, which is your ultimate R. Shaco creates an illusion of himself near him, which can attack nearby enemies, deals half damage to turrets. Upon death, it explodes, dealing damage to nearby enemies. Now, Shaco can be built either AD or AP, it does not matter. Both are very valuable. Both have different uses, however. AP Shaco is more for just, okay, I'm gonna go in, kill somebody, get the hell out. AD Shaco is more, okay, I'm gonna go in and split push. It depends on what your team's gonna need, before the game even starts. That's when you decide, am I gonna be AD or am I gonna be AP? Your Twin Shiv Poison scales with both. Your Jack-in-the-Box scales with AP only, and Hallucinate scales with AP the explosion part scales with the AP rather. It actually does auto attack just like you do. It gets, but benefits such as static shiv and your cleave. If you have a Ravenous Hydra, for instance, it does not as much damage as you though. So just be wary of that. But the explosion, I believe it's like a 1-to-1 AP ratio. We'll check on that in a second. But yeah, he can be built AP or AD, and depending on which way you go, you always want to get a little of the other as well to maximize Twin Shift Poison's damage. Now, as I said before with Deceive, it costs 90 mana to start, then max rank it costs 50. So maxing it, first, it's always good. Oh, I was wrong. You become invisible for 3.5 seconds, then you have 6 seconds of a critical strike window. And the critical strike bonus, it varies depending on your Deceive level. 140% is the lowest at level 1, then 220% bonus damage at max rank. Then your Jack-in-the-Box scales with AP, as I said, it's 20% of your AP. They do last for a minute while invisible or 5 seconds while firing. And they fire damn fast. I believe it's like every half second. So yeah. As I said, Twin Shift Poison, it scales with AD. It's 100% of your AD and 100% of your AP. Rather 100% of your bonus AD. So say you have, base AD of 100 plus 30 AD, that's 30 extra damage it does. Now again, if you're building AD Shaco, you have, Static Shiv, Ravenous Hydra, at least get, Sheen or go that extra step, get a Trinity Force, because it will help. And same thing for AP Shacos, at least get that Trinity Force. The extra AD from Phage will help. That's the only thing I've got to say. And it does a set amount of damage and set amount of slow as well. Hallucinate, as I said, the clone does 75% of Shaco's AD and receives 150% of the damage that you would receive. When the clone detonates, it does 300, 450, 600 damage plus 100% of your AP. The clone can be controlled by holding the Alt key and using the right mouse button, or by reactivating the ability. So you can actually, tell your illusion to go one place while you're going another, such as you would do with, Tibbers, for instance. You would do the same thing with him. I would recommend at least 1 to 2 bot games with Shaco, and 1 to 2 bot games with Master Yi. I'm saying 1 to 2 for Yi just to, again, understand how Wuju style works, and how Highlander and all the other abilities kind of synergize together. And with Shaco, I would actually recommend 2 to 3, just because you want to, see how you play depending on, if you're going to go AD or AP. You want to see just exactly how you're going to go about it. Do you want to go mid? Do you want to go top? Do you want to go the jungle? Okay, if you're going the jungle, do you go AP or AD, etc. And then understand exactly how the Jack-in-the-Box works, how far your Deceive range is, how far your Hallucinate can go before it comes back to you, stuff like that. But as I said, Master Yi, expect him to go AD. You will not see him ever go AP. And expect to see him maybe get some health items as well. Again, Randuin's Omen's not bad on him. And Shaco, again, can go either way. Next we have Twisted Fate. His passive loaded dice. Upon killing a unit, Twisted Fate rolls his lucky dice, receiving anywhere between 1 and 6 bonus gold. Most of the time you'll get the higher end because he's, like that. So that's your passive. Your Q, which is wild cards. Twisted Fate throws 3 cards, dealing damage to each enemy unit that they pass through. And that's kind of a cone attack. Pick a card, which is your W. Twisted Fate chooses a magic card from his deck and uses that for his next attack, causing bonus effects. We'll go into the effects and everything like that in a minute. Next is your E, which is a passive. Every 4 attacks, Twisted Fate deals bonus damage, In addition, his attack speed is increased. And then your ultimate, your R, Destiny. Twisted Fate predicts the fortunes of his foes, revealing all enemy champions and enabling the use of Gate, which teleports Twisted Fate to any location in 1.5 seconds. So, just gonna go through everything now. Wild Card. As I said, throws 3 cards that deal a set amount of damage plus 65% of your AP magic damage to any enemy unit that they pass through. Now, as I said, it's a conal attack. You know, it's... people can actually get hit by 3 of them if they're stupid enough to get hit by one, flash, and not see that they just got hit by another one. I've had that happen to me before. You know, somebody will get hit by one of my cards, you know, and then flash or run into the other one while they're running away. Yeah, beyond me how people can do that. But it can happen. And, you know, it's kind of, you know, the way your cursor is, that's where the middle card is going to go, and then the other 2 cards are going to fan out to the left and right at 45-degree angles from your cursor. That's the best way I can explain it. Next, you have Pick a Card. Twisted Fate chooses a magic card from his deck and uses that for his next attack, causing bonus effects. You can have 1 of 3 cards active at any given time. The blue card, it does 100% of your AD plus 40% of your AP and restores a set amount of mana and deals a set amount of base damage. Next, you have the red card, which does a set amount of damage, set amount of base damage rather, plus 100% of your AD and 40% of your AP. And it does that as magic damage and slows enemy units around the target. Deals magic damage to units around the target and slows their movement speed by 30, 35, 40, 45, 50% for 2.5 seconds. Next is your gold card, aka your yellow card. People are going to say yellow, yellow, yellow all the time at you. You're going to have to know what that means. And it does very, very, very little base damage. It does maximum of 45 base damage with 100%, an extra 100% of your total AD plus 40% of your AP, and stuns them for a set amount of time up to 2 seconds at level 5 of Pick a Card. And the mana cost for your abilities scales up with each level. Then Stacked Deck, the passive component, every 4 attacks, Twisted Fate deals an additional set amount of damage plus 40% AP. In addition, his attack speed is increased by 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30%, depending on the level of Stacked Deck. Then next is Destiny. As I said, it reveals enemy champions, including stealth champions, on the map for 6, 8, 10 seconds, depending on Destiny's level. While Destiny is active, Twisted Fate can teleport up to 5,500 units away in a second and a half. But people will see where you're teleporting to by the little card animation that's happening here. You guys can see it with the mouse. We've all seen it. Now, basic combo is going to be, try to yellow card into wild card. That's your combo. And then other than that, you're spamming wild card and pick a card, trying to get that gold card as often as you possibly can. Early levels, you'll mostly want to pop blues just to sustain in lane. Other than that, you're going to be popping wild card whenever it's off of CD, and getting as many gold cards as you possibly can get. And Destiny to either get into the fight or chase somebody down or even get the hell away. It can be used for any of those 3 scenarios. And that's your rotation as TF. As I said though, most of his abilities, actually all of his abilities except for Destiny scale with AP. Now, you're going to be building AP items, so Rabadon's Death Cap, we can actually see what they recommend, because some of these are actually good. You want to get the Void Staff, the Zania's Hourglass, Banshee's Veil doesn't go amiss. Again, Rabadon's Death Cap, and Lichbane. Lichbane never goes amiss on him. Ever. So, yeah. Just bear that in mind. And for TF, I would recommend at least 3 bot games, minimum of 3, just to, again, understand how long you have to get your, to pick a card. Because what happens when you go with, you activate your W, pick a card, you have a few seconds to pick which card you want, and then a few seconds to activate it, meaning to go ahead and attack with that card, ready to get that bonus. You have I believe it's 6-second window to pick and 8-second to cast. Let's actually double check on that. So here it is, pick a card. It actually doesn't tell us. So yeah, but again, I believe it's 6 seconds to pick. No, it's 8 seconds to pick and 6 seconds to actually cast it, like to activate it and throw it. And again, you'll be seeing AP items on TF. You'll very, very rarely see AD TF. Rarely. Because he doesn't scale as well. Next we have Irelia. Her passive, Ionian Fervor, reduces the stun and reduces the duration of stun, slows, taunts, fears, snares, and roots for each nearby champion. For 1 champion, it's 10%. For 2 champions, it's 25%. 3 champions, it's 40%. And that is the cap. And that does scale with tenacity. So that's a total of 65% reduced duration on stun, slow, snares, taunts, fears, and roots. Although I'm pretty sure snares and roots are kind of the same thing. Stuns, taunts, and slows, different. Same thing with fear. Anyway, your Q, which is Blade Surge. Irelia dashes forward to strike her target. If it kills the target, Blade Surge's cooldown refreshes and refunds 35 mana. Your W, which is Hiten style. Irelia is skilled in the art of Hiten, passively giving her physical attacks health restoration. Activating Hiten style gives her basic attacks true damage for a short period. Next we have Equilibrium Strike. Irelia's attack balances the scales, dealing damage and slowing the target. However, if the target has higher health percentage than Irelia, then the blow stuns the target instead. Sorry, you guys just had to hear that. My phone kind of died. But yeah, her ultimate, which is your R, Transcendent Blades. Irelia summons 4 Spirit Blades that she can fling to deal physical damage and siphon life from from enemies they pass through. Going to go into a little more detail now. So Blade Surge, I don't know why I have a problem saying that. So Irelia dashes forward to strike her target, dealing a set amount of damage plus 100% of your AD, so that's total. Physical damage, if it's killed, the cooldown is refreshed and refunds 35 mana. Not bad. Hiten style. Passive. Basic attacks restore 5, 7, 9, 11, 13... Yeah, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13 health. And then activated. Irelia's basic attacks deal 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 true damage and doubles the health restored for 6 seconds. Then Equilibrium Strike. Irelia pierces her target, dealing a set amount of damage plus 50% of your AP magic damage and slowing her target by 60% for up to 2 seconds depending on Equilibrium Strike. And if the target has higher percentage health than Irelia, she stuns the target for the duration instead. Meaning it'll still do the damage, but instead of slowing, they get stunned. And then Transcendent Blade. Irelia summons 4 Spirit Blades that she can fling to deal 80, 120, 160 plus 60% of your bonus AD and half of your AP physical damage to enemies they pass through. She heals for 25% of the damage dealt against champions and 10% against minions. So overall, you want to get AD on her with the decent mix of AP. Again, one of those items that I'm going to tell you to get on just about any sort of champion like this, Trinity Force. It gives you AD, gives you AP, gives you attack speed, critical strike, movement speed, health, and mana. Why the hell not? Another good item would be, Frozen Melt. Gives you health and AD. Plus it gives you your attacks a slow. Other items, again, include Warmogs. You might want to go for Blade of the Rune King. All kind of situational. But you're going to see Irelia built mostly AD with some AP mixed in. And I would recommend at least 2 to 3 bot games, if not more. Again, just to kind of understand how Equilibrium Strike works. Understand the percentages and understand how Blade Surge works, understand how Heat-10 style works, everything like that. So definitely 2 to 3, if not more, bot games with her. And again, expect her to be built mostly AD with some tankiness in there, just like Renekton or, any other sort of fighter, is what they call them, instead of bruiser. Next we have Karma. Her passive, which is Gathering Fire, reduces Mantra's cooldown each time Karma damages an enemy champion with one of her abilities. Have effect for Karma's basic attacks. Your Q as Karma, which is Inner Flame. Karma sends forth a ball of spirit energy that explodes and deals damage upon hitting an enemy unit. The Mantra bonus, in addition to the explosion, Mantra increases the destructive power of her inner flame, creating a cataclysm which deals damage after a short delay. Your W, which is Focused Resolve. Karma creates a tether between herself and a targeted enemy, dealing damage over time and revealing them. If the tether is not broken, the enemy will be rooted. The Mantra bonus, Karma strengthens the link, dealing bonus damage and healing herself. Your E, which is Inspire. Karma summons a projectile shield that absorbs incoming damage and increases the movement speed of the protected ally. The Mantra bonus, in addition to casting the shield, energy radiates out from the shield, dealing damage to enemy champions and applying Inspire to allied champions. And your ultimate, which is Mantra. Karma empowers her next ability to do an additional effect. Mantra is available at level 1 and does not require a skill point. So much like Jace's ult, you get it at level 1, and then you can scale it up from there at varying levels. Just going a little more into her abilities because of that Mantra bonus. So your Q, Inner Flame. It does a base amount of damage up to 260 base damage plus 60% of your AP, and slowing enemies for 25% of their movement speed for a second and a half. The Mantra bonus, Soul Flare, which in the epicenter of Inner Flame deals a set amount of damage plus 30% of your AP, and leaves the circle of flame, it does less damage but leaves a circle of flame on the impact area upon reaching maximum range, slowing enemies for 50% movement speed, and after a second and a half the circle erupts, dealing increased damage up to 350 plus 60% of your AP magic damage to enemies in the area. So it does less base damage, but the eruption damage, it makes it worth it if they actually get hit by it. Next is your Focused Resolve, which is your W. So the base is up to 260 damage plus 60% of your AP as magic damage over 2 seconds, rooting them in place for up to 2 seconds if the link is not broken. The Mantra bonus, Renewal. Focused Resolve deals 0 plus 60% of your AP bonus magic damage over the duration and heals Karma instantly for 20% plus 1% AP of her missing health. If the leash is not broken, she is healed for another 20 plus 1% of her AP. So, yeah, you do know damage, but... Or you do less damage, but you actually heal for a ton. Then your Inspire. Target ally gains a shield for granting up to 60% movement speed for a second and a half, absorbing up to 240 plus half of your AP for 4 seconds. The mantra bonus, Defiance. The shield overflows with energy, dealing 300 or up to 300 plus 60% of your AP as magic damage to nearby enemy units. Allied champions around her target gain half the amount of shield and are also hasted by 60%. And then your mantra, Karma empowers her next ability, and we just kind of explained all of that. But yeah, so Karma empowers her next ability within 8 seconds for an additional effect. And again, we just went through all the additional effects. I recommend at least 4, if not 5, bot games with Irelia, or with Karma, just because the mantra, like, that is the biggest thing. Gotta get used to how the mantra works and how she works. She's generally played as a support, but she's actually favoring now more into the role of a mid. If she's playing being played as a support, what you can expect is not that much AP. You know, still a good chunk, maybe in Athene's Unholy Grail, and that's kind of it. But, you know, you're gonna get, you know, support items. And if she's mid or any other role that, you know, she's gonna be able to get a lot of AP with, well then, yeah, you're kind of screwed if you get hit by, you know, a mantra Q, for instance, and you stay in that circle. That's just asking for death. That's like standing in a Kennen ult plus an MF ult plus a, I don't know who else ult, or Nunu ult on top of that with an Annie ult and a Namumu ult with that. That's just begging to die. Plain and simple. Again, can be played as both either a mage or, you know, mid or support. I would recommend a support and playing, you know, a couple of bot games just to get used to her mantra and how her abilities, you know, differ with and without mantra bonuses. Next we have Graves. His passive, True Grit. Graves gains increasing armor and magic resistance the longer he remains in combat. Okay, straight to the point. His Q, Buckshot. Graves fires 3 bullets in a cone, damaging all enemies in their paths. His W, Smokescreen. Graves fires a smoke canister at the target area, creating a cloud of smoke. Enemies inside the smoke cloud have reduced sight range and movement speed. Then you have your E, which is Quick Draw. Graves dashes forward, gaining an attack speed boost for several seconds. Hitting enemies with basic attacks lower the cooldown of this skill. Then your ultimate, which is your R, Collateral Damage. Graves fires an explosive shell, dealing heavy damage to the first champion it hits. After hitting the champion or hitting a champion or reaching the end of its range, the shell explodes, dealing damage in a cone. So a little more on his abilities. True Grit, I believe it's 1 armored scaling, or 1 armored magic that scales up from there, up to like a maximum of 10. I could be wrong though. Then you have your Buckshot, which scales off of your everything scales off your AD as Graves, so, or your Q and your R scale off of AD, your Smokescreen scales off of AP, but you're not going to use it for damage. So Buckshot fires 3 bolts in a cone, dealing 60, 90, 130, 165, 200, plus 80% of your bonus AD as physical damage to all enemies in their path. Enemies hit with multiple bullets take 35% damage from each additional bullet. meaning they don't take the full damage, but they take a good chunk still. Then your smokescreen deals up to 260 damage plus 60% of your AP, magic damage on impact, and creates a smoke cloud that lasts for 4 seconds. Enemies inside the cloud are slowed up to 35% and have their sight radius reduced. They can only see in that smoke pretty much. Then you have your quick draw. Graves dashes forward, getting an attack speed boost for several seconds. He dashes forward, gaining 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% increased attack speed for 4 seconds. Basic attacks lower the cooldown of quick draw by 1 second. So, yeah, damn good. But the range is only very, very small on how far you can travel with quick draw. It's about as far as a vault with Vayne. Then collateral damage. Fires an explosive shell that deals up to 450 damage, or 450 base damage plus 140 of your bonus, or 140% of your bonus AD physical damage to the first enemy champion hit. And after hitting an enemy champion or reaching the end of its range, the shell explodes, dealing up to 360 base damage plus 120% bonus aid of your 120% of your bonus AD as physical damage in a cone. It hurts. That's all you need to know. Items you can expect to see on Graves is a Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, Blade of the Rune King, you know, stuff like that, any sort of AD item. The only sort of tanky item, you know, survival item that you would get on him generally would be a Guardian Angel or a Banshee's Veil. You might also see a Last Whisper on him. Now, I didn't go over the combo for Irelia. Let me do that now. Whoops, did not mean to click on that, or click it that way. So, the combo you can expect to see for Irelia would be Equilibrium Strike into Heat style with Blade Surge, and for good measure to finish you off, or to stay alive, Transcended Blades, or you would Blade Surge into Heat style with Equilibrium Strike afterwards, or Blade Surge, Equilibrium Strike, Heat style, Transcended Blades. Any of those combinations will happen. You know, it's hard for me to say definitively. You know, 9 out of 10 times might just Blade Surge in, and then, you know, Transcend or Heat style to get the bonus damage, you know, bonus true damage, and double the health restored. And then if she's losing, or even if you're trying to run away, she'll Equilibrium Strike and Transcendent Blade at the same time. So yeah. And I didn't go over the the combo for Karma because there kind of isn't one depending on which role she's playing. You know, it again, just like Heimerdinger, it varies. Graves, 9 out of 10 times, a buckshot into quick draw with maybe the smoke screen tossed down and then collateral damage for good measure. You know, collateral damage if there's, you know, he's for sure going to hit a target and multiple targets with the explosion, or buckshot to, or collateral damage to start the team fight. You'll just do massive damage and then just wail on people with, you know, quick draw, smoke screen, and buckshot. And again, Graves, you can expect to see standard AD items on him. Lulu, we've got Pix, the Fairy Champion, as your passive. Pix is a wild fairy that accompanies Lulu. Pix will fire a barrage of magical energy at the targets that Lulu attacks. The missiles can be blocked though by minions, other champions, not wards though. So your Q, Glitter Lance. Pix and Lulu each fire a bolt of magical energy that heavily slow all enemies it hits. An enemy can only be hit by one bolt at a time. Or can only be damaged by one bolt, rather. And the closer you have your cursor, the weirder the arc is going to be. Or not arc, but the weirder the angles are going to be. Then you have Whimsy. If cast on an ally, grants them bonus movement speed for a short time. If cast on an enemy, turns them into an adorable critter that can't attack or cast spells. Then you have your E, which is Help Pix. If cast on an ally, commands Pix to jump to an ally and shield them. He then follows them and aids their attacks. If cast on an enemy, or if cast on an enemy, commands Pix to jump to an enemy that damages them. He then follows them and grants you vision of them, or of that enemy. Then your ultimate, which is Wild Growth. Lulu enlarges an ally, knocking nearby enemies into the air and granting the ally a large amount of bonus health. For the next few seconds, that ally gains an aura that slows nearby enemies down. Now, we're just going to go ahead and look at everything. You know, Lulu's a support champion, or generally played as a support. I'm not going to go over, any sort of combo with her. So Glitter Lance, it, does a maximum of 260 base damage plus 50% of your AP, and slowing enemy champions slowing enemies hit by 80% for up to 2 seconds. The slow decays over time to a minimum of percentage of your maximum AP, and enemy can only be damaged by 1 bolt. Then next we have Whimsy. If cast on an ally, the target gains 30 plus 10% of your AP movement speed for 5 seconds. Cast on an enemy, polymorphs them for up to 2.5 seconds, disabling their attacks, disabling their ability to attack or cast spells, and reducing their base movement speed by 60. Then next we have Help Pix, your E. If cast on an ally, commands Pix to jump to an ally. Upon arrival, Pix shields them for up to 240 damage plus 60% of your AP for 6 seconds. If cast on an enemy, does up to 280 damage plus 40% of your AP. Pix then follows and grants vision of the enemy for 6 seconds. Wild Growth, it enlarges an ally, knocking enemies into the air around that ally. For 7 seconds, your ally gains up to 600 plus half of your AP, bonus health, and slows nearby enemies down for 30, 40, 60% for 1 second. So, yeah. Pretty standard support. Look at the recommended items. Support items. Recommended utility, Rabadon's Deathcap, Morello Mechanicon, Twin Shadows, Defensive, Aegis. Yeah, standard support. Not going over combo. Then next and finally we have Quinn and Valor, or just Quinn. So, I actually spoke about Quinn in the previous patch, or the previous champion rotation. We'll just go over Quinn again. So, your passive, which is Harrier. Valor periodically marks an enemy, or marks enemies as vulnerable. Quinn's first basic attack against vulnerable targets will deal bonus physical damage. Next you have your Q, which is Blinding Assault. Quinn calls Valor to blind and damage targets in an area. That's a skill shot. Next you have Heightened Senses, which is a passive. Passively grants Quinn attack speed and movement speed after she attacks a vulnerable target, and Valor's attack speed is permanently increased. You activate it to have Valor reveal a large area nearby, much like Ash's Hawkshot. Same type of cooldown, and it only lasts for like 2 seconds. Next you have Volt. Quinn dashes to an enemy, dealing physical damage and slowing the target's movement speed. Upon reaching the target, she leaps off the target, briefly interrupting it, and lands near her maximum attack range. Or near her maximum attack range away from the target. Valor will immediately mark the target as vulnerable. And then your ultimate, which is your R, Tag Team. Valor replaces Quinn on the battlefield as a mobile melee attacker. When ready, Quinn returns in a hail of arrows, dealing physical damage to all nearby enemies. So, you know, Heimerdinger doesn't say exactly how much physical damage bonus, but I know it's a good chunk. I want to say like 40% of your total AD plus at base. Then we have Blinding Assault, which Valor fires in a line and strikes the first enemy in its path. He then attacks all nearby enemies, dealing up to 230 base damage plus 65% of your bonus AD and half of your AP as physical damage, and blinding them for a second and a half. And as Valor, you perform the same attack at your current location. Then Heightened Sense is your W. Your passive, regardless of as Quinn, attacking a vulnerable target will increase Quinn's attack speed by up to 40% based upon Heightened Sense's level, and increase your movement speed by up to 60 for 3 seconds depending on its level. As Valor, gain up to 80% attack speed, that's passive, and then active, Valor reveals a large area nearby for 2 seconds. And you can actually activate Heightened Senses as Valor. Next is Vault. Quinn dashes to an enemy, dealing up to 160 base damage plus 20% of your bonus AD as physical damage, and slowing the target's movement speed by 50%. The effect diminishes over 2 seconds. Upon reaching its target, she leaps off the target, briefly interrupting it, and lands near her maximum attack range from the target. Valor will immediately mark the target as vulnerable. As Valor, you perform the same action, but you don't leap off the target. Sorry guys, I'm trying to not sneeze. And then your ultimate tag team. First cast, Valor replaces Quinn on the battlefield as a mobile melee attacker for 20 seconds. Valor can move through units and gains 80, 90, 100% movement speed, and decreased gradually to 40% when in combat, or up to 40% when in combat depending on the level of tag team. Second cast, Quinn returns to perform Sky Strike, dealing 200 damage plus 50% of your bonus AD dealing 100, 150, 200 to 200, 300, 400 plus 100% bonus AD physical damage to enemies in a large area, increasing based on how much health they are missing. So this portion right here, the 200 plus half your total AD, half your bonus AD, is, for people that are missing less, or people that are missing less health versus their maximum, and the 400 plus 100% is for people who are lower on health. If Sky Strike has not been cast before the ability ends, it will be casted automatically. So, as I said, you'll be getting mostly AD items on Quinn as well. The only AP item you might be getting is a Trinity Force. That's to just, kind of help maximize the damage from Blinding Assault. Other than that, pure standard AD items such as Last Whisper, Infinity Edge, and Phantom Dancer. Might also get the Bloodthirster because, hey, that kind of needed. And Lulu, I would recommend 2, maybe 3, bot games with her, just to kind of understand how her abilities work. And Quinn and Valor, definitely at least 3 or 4. At least recommended. Again, just kind of understand how, Heimerdinger works, how Heightened Senses works, how, tag team really does work, and how to more so understanding just how squishy you are as both Quinn and Valor versus, say somebody like Graves. Because if you go into Valor form and you're in melee range, you don't have all that much health. Oh look, there's a dead ADC who can't do a damn thing. So yeah, be careful. Again, that's why I'm recommending at least 3 to 4 bot games, if not more. And standard combo for Quinn and Valor, that I generally can say beyond the shadow of doubt, would be as Quinn at least, vault into blinding assault when the target is, isolated, or, tag teaming in, tag team to, just get that increased attack speed, vault in immediate blinding assault once you're in that melee range. Because once you're in that melee range, blinding assault, it's literally that small little radius around you. It's about the size of how far Nunu can actually consume something. So yeah, it's a very, very small radius when you're as Quinn, or when you're as Valor, rather. So yeah. Other than that, would maybe be blinding assault into vault, but again, it's situational based. But that's your only real combo. Blinding assault and vault are your only two real big damage dealing things, and then you have to rely on Heimerdinger. The good thing is your vault procs Heimerdinger on your, on whoever you vaulted to, so it works out. Vault in, blinding assault, Heimerdinger, oh look, there's a big chunk of damage, and makes Quinn one of the best duelists in the game. Just as good as Fiora, if not better, because you can blind people as Quinn. So, yeah. But, yeah, guys, that is it. I've been talking for like an hour. My throat is sore. And, yeah. I'm gonna try and put up another video. It's gonna be an update video. And, yeah, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let me know if you guys like the free week champions this week. Again, they are Cho'gath, Heimerdinger, Master Yi, Shaco, TF, Irelia, Karma, Graves, Lulu, and Quinn and Valor. Let me know if you guys like them, if you don't like them, etc. My name has been Shaco. I will talk to you all next time.